Hi, friends. Uh, so here we are. It is 2025, November, approximately the 3rd, and I live in the south of the United States, um, near a major metropolitan area, also known as Atlanta. And I am a trans man. And so, what that means is that I was born a baby girl, Christine, and I was actually kind of a tomboy, a big time tomboy. And so I did a lot of boyish things when I was little. I liked how I looked when I looked like a boy, and it was always very strange to me that it was meant as to be offensive if somebody said, "You look like a boy. What are you?" And so that gender journey for a lot of us, no matter how we identify, of how we wear our gender in public or at home, sets us up for a long, long road of defending our right to exist, regardless of how we feel inside, how we identify. Of course, others will put us in boxes that make them more comfortable. Um, and but we also put ourselves in boxes that make ourselves more comfortable and that make other people more comfortable. Because we think that people die from being uncomfortable, and they don't. Nobody ever died from being uncomfortable is one of the best quotes that was ever given to me in the course of coming out. Especially, um, especially in terms of coming out as trans. Now, yes, was it uncomfortable for my parents to take me out in public when I first started dating women? Yes. Did they take me out in the beginning? No. We were not seen in public. I was living across the country, and I flew home with my then girlfriend, and we never went out in public together. And I noticed it. And part of how the disease of whatever plays out in my family of worrying what other people think about us, that's how it plays out. I don't know what to tell people. What will people think of me as a parent? Will they think I'm a failure as a parent if they know that my kid has come out as gay? Have I failed as a Catholic mom if my kid is gay, trans, non binary, you name it? Um, have I failed as a white parent if my child dates someone from another race or vice versa? And interracial, interreligious, interfaith, as people usually say. Um, if we have poly relationships, what will other people think of me as a parent if my kid is blank, 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 blankety blank, blank? Whether they're straight, gay, bi, trans, queer, questioning, dyslexic, dysgraphic, they can't read, they can't write, they don't have as many fingers or toes, they can't walk, they can't speak, they're deaf, they're blind, they have diabetes, they have juvenile diabetes, they have cancer, they don't have cancer. Their hands were formed differently. They have Down syndrome. They have ADHD, 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 ADHD. ADHD, dyslexia, autism, on the autism spectrum, everything that people talk about finally that makes people different is where it's where being othered hurts the most. It's one thing that you're blank, but do you have to talk about it? Like, okay, your family's poly. You have 3 adults in your household and you're raising your children. It's okay that you're here, but when we fill out parent forms, it's only gonna have 2 parents listed. Or we'll only put 2 parents in the guidebook. Oh, the child has 2 dads, it'll say mother and father. There are microaggressions and major aggressions that happen when families are engaged with schools, with community services, um, with homeless shelters. If you are marginal in any way, not mainstream, there are many things that you won't get to do. Like, I would never have put on a skirt to go work a secretarial job when I was a young teenager. You were not going to get me in a skirt, especially in the summertime, never mind, as a young person. So I worked in a grocery store. And so I could have made a lot more money working in an office, but I was not willing to be forced to wear a skirt to look presentable as a young woman or a girl in an office. Wasn't going to happen. I didn't do the brownies or anything like that, or Girl Scouts, because I was not going to be wearing culottes or a skirt. Now, I know most of my friends did not wear skirts, but there were times where it seemed like it was supposed to happen that way. And it's let me let me share this. So when we look at how people walk in this world as trans people, especially me as an adult, there are moments where I feel a lot of pain, but I don't say it out loud. And I watch children go through the same thing because every day is a gender day. 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 Every day is filled with moments where it's not okay to be trans. Um, it's not okay to be trans. It's not okay to be queer, openly queer, openly trans, or trans at all. And that's and so I I'm now in a job in 2 jobs, actually, 2 and a half, 2 jobs where being openly um, trans or queer is not okay. And so you have to take down the rainbows in your classroom. No rainbow flag, no pride things, because a parent was offended, and according to the school policy, the corporation's policy, um, they have no opinion on outside issues, and therefore they somehow see being LGBTQ as a social issue that is an outside issue. Yet, if a teacher talks about their husband or their wife, and they're cisgender and hetero, that's never a problem, and they're welcome to have pictures of whoever up, right? And when I was hired, oh, we're so glad you're here. I'm really looking forward to the great things you're going to do. But now that one parent out of 290 complained, we're going to go to corporate and say, no more rainbows, no more safe space, nothing. And I'm also working for another company that's a great company to work for. Don't get me wrong. But they're also being really careful about not wanting to offend any of their clients. They have conservative parents bring their kids there. They have, all kinds of people. And so it's, I mean, I'll wear a rainbow bracelet, but I won't wear a pride shirt there. Now, the last school I worked at, I wore pride shirts all the time. And there was like 2 transphobes in the whole building that actually said anything, but most of the place was really, very accepting to a point. Um, One student used to gig me or try to gig me into having conversations with him to, like, debate the necessity of protecting trans youth, for instance, or the fact that they exist, or, like, because he's a conservative and he's taking his views, whatever. Um, and so I'm glad he graduated, I'm glad I left because I don't have to deal with him anymore. Um, I got hired on at a school back in 2019 by the director, and she hired me on knowing that I was openly trans. I was just off the heels of this was just on the heels of Pride School closing down. So I was very open, very like out there. People knew who I was in the community, etc. Um, and I went to work there partially because I knew that a queer friend of mine was working in this school, and also that their kid had come been in the school for years, and their kid was treated with respect. Yet after I was hired, while um, the kids were off at space camp still, came home to a new math teacher. The director was helping me set up my classroom, and then she cornered me after I signed my contract and said, "So this thing about you being trans. So about you being trans. Do you have to talk about it?" And I was like, "Well, I mean, welcome to math class. I'm trans. That's not how things happen. But you know, A, I'm public. I was on the news, and there's articles about me everywhere. B, I'm out. And I've been told that it wasn't okay to be out before, again, by really great people. But I mean, and that was like 7 years ago. And things were different back then. I guess this was 2018 to 2020. But when people do that to you when no one else is looking, that's where the abuse happens. And there was something that was said at the No Kings rally recently that really struck a chord with me, and it was said, I think, by either by Noelle from Georgia Equality or Becky Pringle from the NEA, the president of the National Education Association, about how the government wants us to be siloed from each other so that we don't unite and talk to one another about what's going on in our lives, and so that we can join forces and support each other. And that's what happens in teaching. By nature of the job, you're in your little cubicle, you do your job, you come out, you pop your head out every now and then to get copies and have lunch with people here and there and meet at meetings and ignore each other, like ignore what's going on at the staff meeting so we can connect with another human being who's not 13 or 14 to 17, or 6, 7. Um, but the problem is somebody hires you and says, "We're so glad you're here because those queer and trans kids really need somebody like you, especially those trans kids. And they need to know that there's somebody who understands them and has their back." Now, every single educator should have the back of every single student, period. But of course, we know that's not going to happen. Each of us has certain students with whom we connect. And that's good because that heart connection is what makes kids want to come to school. They want to see their friends and they want to see the teachers with whom they have a relationship. They want to have a reason to laugh. That's it. They want to have a reason to smile every day. And my students, at the most unexpected times, make me smile. And when I go to work, I want reasons to smile. But the more things that happen on a job that basically crush your spirit, um, tip, 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 they tap away. They chip away at your self-esteem. They chip away at your joyousness. They chip away at your mental wellness, your mental health. And for those of us who struggle with depression and anxiety and ADHD, yes, some of it's blessings, some of it's curses. And I was not medicated for those things as a young person, and it's still hard now. Those of us with ADHD and depression internalize those negative comments much faster and much more deeply, and we pay attention to those negative comments a lot more and ruminate on them a lot more than the positive things that are said about us and told to us and the little compliments that come in. And that's the nature of our brains. And we know as children, we're the same way. Children are the same way. They will remember the most amazing moments in school, some of them. Some of those moments will be crystallized. But I can tell you exactly where I was standing against the wall in the cafeteria at Stansel Elementary School in about third or fourth grade when I was made to stand against the wall during lunch because I couldn't stop talking enough during quiet time during lunch. Now, I loved Bob Deckard. He just passed away the other day. I loved him in a lot of ways, but that quiet time role in the cafeteria and all the schools that do that, and then shaming kids. Oh, well, now you have to stand up against the wall for everyone to see to shame you and show everybody that you just could not keep your big fat mouth shut. That experience drove me out of a teaching job when the organization was going to make your day, which would involve having kids stand up against the wall, face away from the class, and all kinds of crazy stuff like that. And then acknowledge to the entire class how well you did with your behavior that day. Let's count everybody's points. And for those of us who are gender funky, queer, trans, chipping away at who we are, or for those of us who are not white, I am white. I'm a trans guy. I'm a suburban white trans guy. I'm overweight. Um, but I'm a pretty boring guy. And I have my own experiences, of course, and you have your intersectionalities. So whenever it is about you, who you are, when somebody says who you are is not okay, you internalize it. And then you have to do something about it. That's really what it boils down to. What are you going to do about it? And so that's where I am right now. Come here, baby. What am I going to do about the fact that it's not okay to advertise that I'm a trans man or that I'm queer or that my classroom is a safe space for all kids? And what someone else said, Miss Chang, I'm gonna call you out here, said, people ask me, like, if you don't have rainbows up in your classroom, how else do you acknowledge, like, that your classroom is a safe space? She's like, "Well, my wife is here all the time." So she talks about her wife all the time. And so it's very clear that they're a female couple. Their boys are in the building. There's pictures of her family up on her wall. But there are places all around this country where that's not okay. It's not okay. And so, um, if it's not okay to say, "This is my partner, this is my wife, these are my children." I mean, I could have carried my children, but my wife wanted to carry children. I did not. I always thought I'd adopt. I never wanted to carry children. Now, maybe that's because I knew I was a dude. I don't know. It just wasn't in me. And I dated boys, dated men, married a guy, got divorced, came out, burned that t-shirt, threw it away, etc., etc. And so, um, being squashed down, that energy has to go somewhere. Okay. That energy has to go somewhere. And so, where I'm trying to put my energy is with you, is by spending time in community, talking about these issues, and acknowledging that they're there. They're there for many of us in the workplace, especially now in the federal government. Never mind that the government is shut down. People were told to remove their pronouns. And they even tried to make a law at the State Department that said that nobody could have like their gender on their business cards in the State Department. And then they realized that that meant nobody could indicate on their business cards or their email whether they were male or female. So they couldn't use Mr. or Ms. They couldn't use Her Excellency or His Excellency for ambassadors. So you name it. And then they said, huh, let's table this because they were only trying to target trans people. That's it. Some dope just wanted to target trans people. And they said, no, this law says this means everybody. And so it it's been a rough it's been a rough year. It's been a rough year. And there go the dogs. It's been a rough year. It's been a rough several months. It's been a rough several months. It's been a rough year since my mom died. And then, I go to her funeral and there's pictures of me from when I was a little girl and pictures of me from when I was a teenage woman. Um, and then there's pictures, then there's me, and I had to claim that space. And I basically gave my mother's eulogy as far as on behalf of the family. And beautiful dogs. Um, so and then I had a hard time keeping at work, so I had to go find another job, unfortunately. And when you're trans in the South and a teacher, even if you're a math teacher, things come up at interviews. And sometimes you don't get interviews because you're openly trans. I think, especially for trans women, as a trans man, I have it easier because I can fly under the radar. But my transness, I'm not willing to be silent about it anymore. And that limits my ability to get different jobs. It limits what schools I can work in. It limits my unwilling my willingness to put up with transphobia and homophobia. So I will not put myself in a place where I'm going to be denigrated on a daily basis. And if my voice can't be heard at work, I'm using my voice in other places, which is out here in the world again. Because my freedom of speech on a job, of course, is different from my freedom of speech as an adult in this world. But I have to acknowledge that it hurts. It hurts physically, not just emotionally. It hurts physically to go to work every day and be told, you may not say that you were a girl. You may not say that you had a husband. You may not talk about anything LGBT. Nothing in your backdrop. I teach at a virtual school. Nothing in your background. No conversations, because that's a social issue. You are a social issue. Are we allowed to talk about racism? Probably. Kind of yes, kind of no in this administration, thanks to Project 2025. And the interesting thing, of course, is that I am a married guy with a wife and two kids. I have a house, two dogs, two cats. I got two kids getting ready to go to college. I got bills to pay. I got a car payment, got a mortgage. And my wife cannot be the only one who supports us. I need to work. I need this job. And what interests my boss, fascinates me, is very difficult on a good day. But I took the advice of people and said, look, fine, I'll take down my rainbows. I won't wear a rainbow shirt. I couldn't even have a tiny little rainbow clock that was this big because it might be misconstrued as being gay. And when I asked, can the kids start a GSA? I was told, I'll get back to you on that. When I asked, is every single teacher that works for this company across the United States, is every single teacher not allowed to have a rainbow or a rainbow flag or a gay flag or a progressive flag or a safe space sticker up in their classroom? Or is this just targeting me? And I say that, and I never got an answer. Please go to corporate and ask on my behalf because we have lots of openly lesbian people, openly gay people on our staff. Are they going to be told that they're not allowed to be authentic? Just talk about their family like we always do? Um, as teachers, we choose to tell all kinds of stories in the classroom. And simple stories like I helped start the girls' soccer team at my school when I was a freshman in high school, sophomore. At Sayreville High School, I helped start the girls' soccer team. I'm very proud of that. I was married to a guy, got divorced, came out, and that's part of my journey. So the pronouns in my story have changed repeatedly throughout the years. Um, I was a little sister. I wasn't a little brother. And when you're talking about yourself, what do you reveal? How much do you reveal? What's acceptable? What's too personal? What crosses the personal and professional line? Should kids know that you ever got divorced? Like we're talking high school here, okay? We're not talking about kindergarten. We're talking about high school. Should kids know that you're trans? But what if you don't tell them and they find out? And that's where the danger lies. If you don't tell them and they find out and they feel duped, not that it was yours to tell them all the time, if they feel duped, that's when that's when um that's when violence happens. As much as I hate to say it. My biggest fear as a teacher or just as a trans man is That's some big eyebrows. Can you raise your other eyebrow? I don't know how to raise my other eyebrow. Oh, there it is. Arr. Is being found out that I'm not cisgender and getting the living daylights beat out of me, or being raped, assaulted, killed, sent home in a box, sent to the emergency room where it's not good to be trans in the emergency room in certain areas, even in Atlanta. So what I say these days is they're either going to find out from me or they're going to find out when they Google me. And I even Google kids, I Google their parents, I Google my colleagues, I Google my bosses, I Google anybody I'm going to work with. I want to find out who they are for my safety and for my kids. I'm not sure what else to say other than squashing people who are different because you're afraid of I don't know what. Are you afraid people are going to think we're going to turn their kids gay or trans? I can't get my kid to like put her dishes in the sink. I couldn't get her to put her shoes on when she was little. What makes you think? I can't get kids to do their homework. What makes you think I can turn them anyway? And if your sophomore in high school doesn't already know that trans and gay people exist, they've been living in a literal closet. And being demonized in public on a daily basis by El Presidente, I think about how scary it is for me, but I think about what do my children think about all this? Are they worried that something's going to happen to their family, to their dad? Um, I don't know that they worry about the violence because I fly under the radar. And the quote of, "Well, I never would have known if you hadn't told me." Thanks. Like, you didn't have to tell me you were trans. Well, some people, I just happen to be trans. I'm a dude. I happen to be trans. I don't talk about it. I don't need to talk about it. I just want to be read as a guy. That's it. For me, I spent 36 years in female skin, and I feel like a trans man. I don't feel like a dude. I don't feel like a cisgender man. I feel like a trans man, which is, I guess, non binary in some ways. And I had 36 years of culturated female. I was a little sister. I was a daughter. I was my mother's daughter. I was my dad's like little helper. So I was more like his son and her daughter in a lot of ways. Um, which was great because I had both worlds and I looked like my mom. Now, how do you say to kids, well, I used to look like my mom too, but I don't anymore? Or when my mom died, or when my brother died, or how I feel about the elections, or trans people in the military, or now how I feel about the elections has nothing to do with education, but how I'm demonized by our own president is horrifying. Just like they demonize the immigrants, they demonize all kinds of people to separate us from each other. And I am part of a very small minority that anybody can join at any time. And there are Republicans with gay and trans grandchildren and children. There are Republicans who are gay and trans themselves, but they won't say it out loud because they're afraid they're going to lose everything. And the way we lose everything is through death. We might seem to lose our families, but if we kill ourselves or just disappear for other people's comfort, we might as well not exist. And it's I was miming that. I knew the mic off. And so, my friends, being trans in this world right now is very difficult. And I have it easy. I have a wife, I got a house, I live comfortably, I have retirement, I have a career in the field of my choice. I'm not making as much as I want right now, but I'm working side jobs as a tutor for myself and for other people to help make up the difference. I want to work for myself, not just because I'm trans and I want to be able to be my own boss and not be told that it's not okay to be who I am or to openly be who I am, but I want to do the work I want to do. And I'm good at it. I'm good at being a math teacher. I'm good at one on one. I'm good at being creative and meeting kids where they're at, building a relationship and seeing who they are and seeing them for who they are and letting them know that's okay. And now I don't acknowledge to my wife every single day or my colleagues every single day how I feel about how I'm treated in this world right now, how trans and non binary people are treated in this world right now, even in these fine United States and blue states, blue cities, blue streets. And I'm mainstream. I pass. I'm read as gay, not straight. I was never feminine enough as a girl. Now I'm not masculine enough as a guy. And we need to look out for each other. We need to look out for our kids, for our friends' kids, and for each other. We're losing people left and right. And they're young too. They're in their 20s. They're in their teens, in their 20s. There are people who are activists. Two local activists took their own lives a few weeks ago, one right before Pride and one just the other day. And one of them, I think, was Olive 28, and the other one was 21, getting ready to graduate from Kennesaw State with a bachelor's degree. And she was the head of the LGBT organization there. And then the university shut it down because of funding issues. And they had a really strong gay straight alliance there, diversity club, whatever you want to call it. And I know that depression is real and it's not necessarily related to being trans in this world, but they're very, very connected. If you don't know if you can leave the country because you can't get a passport, you don't know if you could stay in the country because of who you are. You don't know if you'll be able to be employed. Are you employable? Am I employable? Can I support a family? If I was not married and had to support my two children, I would probably move to somewhere where I knew I would not be forced out for being trans. And trans women, especially who are educators and in any profession, who pen, who transition later in life after puberty, are more often read as trans in an unsafe way. And it's more so because people are uncomfortable. And like I started this, My gender journey has nothing to do with you and everything to do with you. How I'm treated in this world governs how I behave in my job, in my personal life. It's all intertwined with my own fears for my safety, for my children's safety, for my financial security, my fear of economic insecurity. But my gender journey is not about you. It's not about anybody. I didn't come out the first time for anybody else, and I didn't come out the second time for anybody else. And I'm not about to go back for anybody, period. If I decide that I'm more comfortable being more androgynous and not being on testosterone, great. Go for it. I love who I am today. When I started testosterone, I felt like I finally had a hormone balance. And Jameson Green talks about that in his book, Becoming a Visible Man, where he just, a few weeks into being on testosterone, like 7 weeks or something, found himself and he stopped in the middle of the hallway at his office and he just like looked around, like acting as if he forgot something. But he's like, this is what normal feels like. And that's my normal. My normal is this body. Some of you have known me if you watched any of this. Most people will not watch to this part, but I'll leave it here anyway. Many people who I connected with these days, even a little bit, who I grew up with, have known me long since before transition, before I came out the first time. They saw who I was as a kid. I was a little butch girl, but I dated boys and I tried to date a lot of boys, but straight boys don't date gay guys, right? They don't date men. And gay boys don't date girls. And so I, I didn't know that I liked women the way I finally figured out later. Um, and so, you know, and my journey is not about anybody but me. And everybody's going to be uncomfortable with the fact that, you know, about something about you. Some people are uncomfortable being around a math teacher because, oh, they think I'm stupid because I'm not good at math. I could care less. Or whatever, right? Whatever makes you different. It's not about anybody but you. And how much power we give people over us is up to us. And that's the part we can't do alone. And I want to thank Lizette Trujillo for continuing to put your thoughts out there and reminding us about like our own children, if we have trans kids, that their journey is not about us. And any bit we make it about us for real negates what's really important is what's going on with that kid. Now, how you deal with it, you have to have your own coming out if you're a parent of a trans kid or a queer kid, right? You have to decide, am I going to lose my congregation because my kid is gay or trans? Am I going to lose my job when they find out? What's going to happen to my insurance? Are my parents going to disown me? Are they never going to want to watch the kids ever again? Are they going to damage my child, psychologically damage my child by telling them things when I'm not around? All kinds of stuff come out, but it doesn't have to be that way. Yes, it's a process, but when you need to process that grief narrative of what you thought was going to happen for your kids, keep in mind that you have grief about all kinds of things about your kids, of the dreams and the visions you had for them. Whether it was you didn't dream that they would have to deal with a divorce in their lives, or that they would be able to read and write and drive and function in society. But process that not with your children. Process it with your therapist, with your friends, with the people who can listen and help you move through that and help you support your kid in asking your kid, how was today? Was today a gender day? Do you have any gender moments today? Ask your kid when you're alone with them, when they come out of school, when they come home from work, any gender moments today? Or what were your gender moments today? Because it's not, are there any? Because there are. Every time we use a public bathroom, it's not lost on us. Every time we use a locker room, it's not lost on us. It's not lost on me, I'll tell you that. Whether I use a single stall restroom or the gendered restroom, it's never lost on me. When I travel, when I fly, it's never lost on me. When I'm driving down the road, it's always in my mind, if I end up in the emergency room, what's going to happen to me? And please continue to find your voice. You all gave me a voice. When I was told, "Nope, not okay to have a voice here. I'm afraid too many people are gonna leave with their money if you're out as a trans educator." But I knew I couldn't stay and bring my kids into that community if they were supposed to hide who their family was. And that no was the best thing that ever happened to me because that's how Pride School was born. There's enough no's out there for you to do your yes thing. And your pride school, your pride job is there somewhere where you are affirmed and other people are as well. Your dream job, shall we say, where you can just be. You go to work and you just get to be. You don't have to be perfect. Yeah, you can even have, oh my gosh, you can have like depression and anxiety and ADHD and dyslexia and dysgraphia. And you could be divorced and you could have had a husband and a wife and have neither. You could even be poly. You could be asexual, aromantic. You could be celibate. You could be single. You could say, no, I don't want children. Like, what a novel idea. You can have had an abortion. You could have given a baby up for adoption. You could have been adopted. Everything. There are places out there that either exist or they need to be created. And sometimes you're the one to create it. And I'm not willing to disappear. I'm not willing to disappear. And so sometimes those little micro affirmations happen when the open affirmations are not allowed to happen. Like my students were talking the other day, and one kid said to the other in the public in the chat, "So, what's your name today, or what are your pronouns today?" And the child said, "Oh, just use my right, just use this name today." And I said, I really love that because I like asking people, what are your pronouns today? And then right away, that child or another one piped up and said, "That's why I love this class." And there's our anxiety ridden dog who's barking in the background. That is Bronco. Bronco has separation anxiety. And we have a puppy who is the complete opposite. He's like, "Don't leave me out here. Come on." The puppy can sit out for hours sunbathing, but Bronco just has, oh, the puppy was eating an apple there. Just has to come inside. Don't leave me up there. So I love you all. You're fabulous. You're perfect. Now change. So if you happen to see any of this video, I hope something helps you to stay connected into the world or to get connected. Because even if nobody watched this while I was filming it live, that's okay. That's okay. And I am Christian Zilovitz or Chris Zilovitz. I decided to go, like, with other people's now that I'm in new jobs, in new situations, I wanna be called Chris again because that's who my family calls me, and I prefer to introduce myself as Chris. But it's funny because when you say Chris Zilovitz, it sounds like crystal, and when I was on the cusp of transition, I didn't want people to think I was a girl, and the voice, mannerisms, how big are my hands? Bronco, Bronco. Oh, they're so noisy. Bronco, so funny. Um, all of it is part of who we are in the world, and people don't realize what's going on in our little heads unless we tell them. And if you can tell one person about your gender moments today, do that. You can even send a note to me, firstname.lastname@gmail.com, or that trans math guy, Mr. Z, at gmail.com, which is this channel right here. And don't let them steal your thunder. Don't let them take you down. Know that there are people out there. You just have to find your people sometimes. And if you need people, I can be your people. And you are my people. So I've adopted you already. And I just keep looking at my you should not be able to look at yourself in the mirror in a video because you spend the whole time looking at your eyebrows going, "What is happening with my eyebrows?" Now, I would say that my barber shop, Maxim Barbers in downtown Decatur, Georgia, the last time I got a haircut was October 12th, 2020, the day before everything shut down, and that's the last time I had a regular haircut. And the one thing they used to do was to take care of these, my caterpillars, as they call them. Because, yo, when you're on testosterone, your eyebrows grow and the hair grows here and hair grows in your nose and all kinds of places. So, all that said, sorry about the puppy. I love you all. Feel free to drop a line. I'd love to hear from you. Take care. Bye bye. Okay, lady, I love you. Bye bye.